Hello, I'm Zoe, and this is my video reflecting on American culture after reading Body Ritual Among the Nacirema by Horace Minor. So first off, I am a little disappointed in myself because I didn't realize that in the article, Minor was actually depicting American culture, and I never noticed that Nacirema is actually American, spelled backwards. Minor did this on purpose because at the beginning of the article, he makes us believe that we are learning about a culture different from ours by using language such as unusual and magical when describing their customs and rituals. Although I didn't know he was actually talking about American culture, I thought that I was being smart in my own head because I was making connections when I looked past the language, and I thought to myself, oh, that sounds exactly like what we do in America. The first thing I realized it was very similar was obviously the story of Nacirema, which I also did not realize was Washington spelled backwards. So when I was reading about his major feats, which was chopping down a cherry tree, I thought to myself, oh, that sounds exactly like Washington, and he's also known as the father of America. So after reading that part, I started looking for more similarities as I kept going, and obviously I found them because they were actually talking about American culture, and I didn't realize it. But especially in the body negativity and how there are different procedures for making your body more ideal. The article really drew me in because it made me look at American culture from an outside perspective. Minor was able to describe several practices, customs, and beliefs in American culture, such as our market economy, our healthcare system, and our body negative attitudes from the view of an outside observer. If I were to pick one myself to try and see as an outside observer, it would be the Pledge of Allegiance, especially in schools. The pledge is customary to most Americans. We all grew up in school saying it after the morning announcements. The current pledge that most of us grew up on reads like this: I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This pledge references many American values such as liberty and justice, and it even points to the fact that throughout our history, we have been indivisible. We've had problems, but we have never split off. Although many Americans may feel patriotic when they hear the Pledge of Allegiance being recited in our schools, an outside observer could see this as indoctrination. Not only would they question the practice of having all children, even non-Christian children, reciting the words under God, but they would also see essentially children being told to pledge their allegiance to their government with no questions. I have recited the pledge in its current form and the form that most of us grew up on, but actually the pledge has significantly changed throughout history. It was first created in 1892 by a socialist named Francis Bellamy with the intention that citizens in any country would use it. From ushistory.org, the original pledge read, and I quote, I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In 1923, the words, the flag of the United States of America, were added, and then in 1954, under God was added as President Eisenhower's response to the communist threat. The original pledge also began with a military salute where they would start with their hands to their side, and then they were given a signal to put their hand up into the air with their palm facing down at the same level as their forehead. And then when the words to the flag were recited, they would raise their palms up towards the flag. It was soon changed to just placing the right hand over the heart until the words to the flag, and then they would raise their right hand up into the air with their palm facing down towards the flag. Then during World War II, the salute was removed because it resembled the Nazi salute too much. So then it was just changed to placing the right hand over the heart the entire time. It is important to clarify that when one recites the Pledge of Allegiance, they are only pledging to flag and country, not to the ideals laid out in the second half of the pledge. The words "one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all" are just descriptive of the historical ideals on which this country was founded. However, there is still controversy over keeping the words "under God" in our pledge. In Grace Cow's article titled "One Nation Under God, or Taking the Lord's Name in Vain," written in 2007, she describes this controversy and goes over the different arguments in favor of keeping these words. On page 190 of her article, she points out the most convincing argument, which is that the words "under God" acknowledge our true source of our pre-political and inalienable rights listed out in the Constitution. However, I do not believe it is convincing enough for me. I think that this change was detrimental to U.S. culture because it is an example of the majority using the political machine to enforce religious beliefs, and that is also pointed out by Cow on page 192 of her article.